E360 TV proudly presents Messages of Inspirational Stories TV show. Live streaming now to millions of devices around the world on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, YouTube Live, Facebook live streaming. Our shows are available video on demand on these channels. And we broadcast daily, Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on these channels. On Mondays, Expanding Your Business. Tuesdays, Finding Health Naturally. Wednesdays, Mentoring Our Youth. Thursdays, Pets We Love. And on Fridays, Women in Leadership. Brought to you by our producers and hosts, Jim Grant and Donna Guinois. Along with our host, Beata Severin Reed and Emerson Brantley. Supported by our admin team of Michaela Vidal and Gaia Guinois Balconi Weda. And welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. The messages of Inspirational Stories is proudly brought to you today by the good guys at the 6minutewebinar.com. And you know, Emerson, today I was looking at an email that came in, and it was kind of an interesting topic. So I clicked on the link for more information, and I am so burned out with these people who go on for 15 and 20 minutes about what the problem is. I mean, who was the Einstein who came up with that everybody jumped on board with that? Because the 6-minute webinar, as you very well know, what it basically does is be able to do an introduction, a body, a close, and a call to action, all within 6 minutes or less.
Well, I've spent my life in marketing, Jim. I've marketed for over 10,000 campaigns at this point. I can tell you this. I bet the same person that designed the endless sales letter that you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So I get to the point. What do I do? What is it? What's the deal? Yeah. Like if you're that worried about telling me that I can have an out, you know, that if I'm ready, I can click.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, because on this one here, like a lot of them, it says, you know, for the script, just click here, and I didn't. And that thing, the little cursor up there was about, I could barely see it. It was so small. I scrolled down and down and down and down, and I'm going like, man, halfway down, and they're still giving, you know, testimonies and stuff. I mean, good grief, it just really wears you out.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes on YouTube, and I know YouTube is a host of our show here as well, but is to not have for all the videos a transcript.
Yeah.
Where you can go there, you can skim down it and look. And I don't have time to sit through 30 minutes of video.
Yeah.
An hour of video. Yeah. Now, I have plenty of time for this show, Joe. This show excluded.
That's because this show is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. But you know what? But these, we're talking about the ones that they have the latest, greatest, fastest, smoothest, quickest solution to something.
Yeah.
And it's like, get to the point. Who has time for that? And if I can see the transcript of it, then I can, you can
skim it.
But you know what, Jim? YouTube isn't stupid. They're smart. They figured that out. And that's one of the things. Oh, you'd like to just have the transcript. Well, if you pay us X number of dollars a month, you can.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
That's right.
Goodness gracious. Yeah.
You all know it's true. It's true.
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. And ladies and gentlemen, about 6 months ago, or maybe longer, I'm not sure, I came across an interesting topic called earthing or grounding. And I started reading it a little bit, and I thought, that sounds really interesting. And then it popped up again, and I talked to Joel Peterson, who is our guest today. And
that is earthing, folks, like
that's
the ground,
earthing.
not
Yeah.
birthing.
Yeah, earthing.
Jim wasn't looking for stuff on birthing.
Yeah. No, I've got a degree in Southern slang, so you Southern folks understand me. Yeah, the other people may not, but it's really interesting because I remember back some of the things that they talked about when I was a boy going barefoot in the soil, especially the fresh plowed fields when I lived on a farm. Oh, it felt so good. And nowadays we all wear shoes, rubber soles, and all that. We're insulated away from the earthing and the grounding. And it's really done us a big disservice, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, and that's something that it's a concept for many of the people. And I'm assuming most of the people who are on here today have come on here and enjoy following the show. Mm-hmm. And earthing may be a concept that's totally alien, but it's basically, if you're standing on rubber soles or any kind of sole, basically, that keeps you away from the earth, then you're not grounded. If you touch an electric wire and you want to wear rubber shoes, that's a good idea. But the thing is, there are other things that happen, and our guest today is going to talk with you about them, and about how we're connected in that flow. Jim likes to talk about follow the energy, follow the flow. And we're interconnected to that. Yeah. And I think we ought to let our expert come on board.
Yeah, let's let Joel come on board there. Let's say
about it than I can.
Yeah, let's say hello to Joel. Hey, Joel, how you doing today, man?
Hello, Emerson and Jim. Thank you for the invitation. I'm doing great.
I hope I did it justice there, Joel.
You sure did. And I'll just start off by saying, one of the differences between grounding and earthing is when you're actually touching the earth. Grounding we can do in our office. We can have a grounding pad on our bed. You can put grounding mats underneath your computers and your iPads. You could put a grounding pad underneath your feet. So when you're sitting, some people even sit on them. So you get grounded, and that helps redirect our own energy. And it also helps the biophotons that surrounds our body and that goes through our body. It keeps them the way they should be. And it breaks up those pulses. So you're not getting so many EMFs or EMRs.
Absolutely. Because when I was, when I first started looking at it, they were talking about having a pad for your mattress, and you plug it into the ground, I guess it was. I really should have looked at it more, but I saw this subject come up again, and they were talking about earthing, and grounding and earthing. And I really got into the earthing part because it took me back memory lane when like I said earlier, and I was a boy growing up on a farm. And, but for people, in the, live in suburbia and places like that and busy schedules, grounding would be a real good thing for them. And there are, is it pads or whatever? Could you share a little bit more about that, Joel?
Yeah, they have, they've got pads for the bed. They have blankets. They've got pads for the pillow. I think they might even have pillow covers that attach to these prongs. And you plug in the prongs into your wall, and they go into the grounding plug, just kind of like a regular ground. And the ones for the office and the ones for your feet, they just come in different sizes, and they also plug in too. Yeah. And when I first noticed that I was sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies was when I was wearing one of the iFits. And my friend convinced me to go ahead and get an Apple Watch. So now I had the iFit on, then I had the Apple Watch on, and I was laying into one of those metal beds that was adjustable. Man, for 3 or 4 nights, all of a sudden I started getting heart palpitations and breathing problems. It was bad. And I would have to get up and take a shower and just calm down because I thought I was getting sick again. I thought my old sickness and stuff was coming back, or part of the traumatic brain injury. And I would calm down, Sometimes it'd even make me cry. It was bad. And then I would
Wow.
calm down and I'd get back in bed, but I had to take the watches off to take the shower. It wasn't the shower that was doing it. It was taking the watches off. And then when I stopped putting the watches back on, because I figured it out, it was 4 days later, it went away.
Wow.
And I stopped laying on the metal bed too. I got rid of it.
Yeah. That's really amazing. I'm glad you figured that out. And because with the grounding, you say it plugs in the wall just like a three-prong receptacle. Is that how that works?
Correct.
Hmm.
Correct.
And
mine
so,
are actually, there it is. Yep.
Okay. Emerson, he's got one. Share with us a little bit, Emerson, how you came about that and where does that go? I see or how do you use that? Oh, I'm sorry. I got you muted.
You might have a little mute there because I have a plane flying overhead and I'm sitting back here being grounded while I'm working in my bare feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you plug this in to the wall and you have a pad, and you can have, as Joel said, you can have a pad underneath where you're working on your keyboard. You can have it underneath your pillow, underneath where you're sleeping. This is designed to be able to wrap around like your arm or leg. And basically what it does is it connects you back to that flow, and it creates that loop so that now you're able to not just be taking in all the energy that you are, but you're also able to be grounding that energy back out of you. Did I do justice to that, Joel?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yes, you did.
Yeah,
pretty good. Okay.
Because working on a computer, like a lot of folks do most of the day, that puts off a lot of the wrong type of energy. And
walking around in rubber sole shoes or any sole shoes, anything that's separating you from the earth.
Yeah.
Walking around on your floor, in your house is better. But walking outside, doing things like that we don't do that much of.
Yeah.
And then we have all of these other electromagnetic things that are taking place, that we're not even aware of. Every time we microwave and we have power lines and all of these different things that are interrupting that and like you, Joel, I had a TBI.
Yeah.
And it was after that I recognized, something in that wiring is a little off. And then we were rear-ended in a collision. And that really set things back. And it was after that my chiropractor said, you know what, look, I'd like you to try this. Just try it. And the rest is history.
How long has it been since you started using that grounding?
I think it's been about a year and a half.
About a year and a half.
It hasn't eliminated everything by far. There's still things that I deal with every single day. Tinnitus and other things like that. But you know what? There's enough. There's a relief that takes place in it that's physical. It's physical. You can feel it.
So at least it's a step in the right direction with everything going on.
Yeah, it's like if you have a really bad headache and you take a Tylenol, you take an aspirin or something for it, and it makes it better. It may not make it go away.
Yeah.
If you're stretching and exercising and doing the things that you need to be doing and all of these other things, that helps. But, our bodies age too. And we're exposed to more and more stuff every single day.
Yeah.
And, our bodies are trying to process all of these factors that we're aware of and not aware of. And let's just be real, Jim. Most people, and Joel, most people aren't even aware of the differences in what their things they are eating have to do with their immediate feelings and the way that their body is reacting. And they may not make those connections. And for anybody out there that's watching that has has maybe kind of picked up on some things about, here's a good example. Okay, I'm just going to, I'm dog legging here, Jim and Joel, but here's a good example, guys, folks. Thanksgiving dinner, one of my dad's favorite things was at the end of Thanksgiving, he'd push himself back from the table and go, I'm miserable now. I'm miserable now. And that was like, this is the most phenomenal meal. But his body was saying, this is you're doing too much here, and you're not giving me a chance to recover, and you're not given the option here. And there's so many aspects in our life today that he never knew or never had to deal with.
Yeah.
And a lot of electromagnetic, a lot of things, everything that we touch, our cars, are controlled by electronics. We work on computers all during the day. We microwave our coffee, and on and on and on and on. I'll shut up. I'll let Joel.
I'll
let Joel take it.
Yeah.
You're saying exactly what I want to say.
Yeah.
We're made up of energy, and our cells need the energy to fire properly, and then we need the water, which we're mostly part of, to connect all that energy. And so when this gets deregulated or upregulated for some, because some are super sensitive to it, that's when you start to, it's one of the reasons people are so sick in this country, because we're so attached to electronics, and we have an awful lot of Wi-Fi. And so for myself, when I go out hiking or rock collecting, you feel it, because here we have some of the most mountains in America, in Nevada, and there's a whole lot of minerals in there, and they block all that EMF. They block all that radiation, and you can feel it. That's why people feel good when they go camping. It's not really just the camping experience and the sounds, but you're grounded, you're earthing, and you're being blocked by a lot of the trees and the minerals and stuff. And so you're not getting bombarded with all these EMFs.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that we are, that the earth is electrical, it's a lot of electrical going on, and we're actually bioelectrical. That's all that energy going on. And if we're not grounded to earth, the problem with that is there's a lot of static going on, if I could put it like that.
Good point.
And it creates a lot of uproar and everything.
I like to liken it to lightning strikes. A lot of people don't realize lightning comes from the earth. It doesn't come from the sky. It actually comes from the earth.
Yeah.
So that's the energy that we're getting from the earth. And the Earthing movie, I believe they show some documentation and proof on a lot of what we're talking about. Really powerful movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there, and folks, if you're having trouble sleeping at night, you may want to take a look at this grounding devices that's available for you in the bed. At least try one. Yeah. Because it's been a kind of like a miracle for a lot of people who are looking for answers that didn't have an answer, and no one could tell them what was going on.
Right. Until they remove the source.
Yeah, it's so simple, because if we understand that the earth is it's an electrical planet, and we're bioelectrical, and we definitely came from the earth, and we're designed to be on the earth. I mean, we how long has shoes been around? I mean, before that it was moccasins or some other foot covering, but rubber sole shoes is truly an insulator.
Well, Jim, you're talking about the earth being magnetic, and please, folks, this isn't making any bad assumptions, but some people may not think about the earth that way. And we have a North Pole and a South Pole. Well, magnets have a positive and a negative pole. Yes, they have a North Pole and a South Pole. The earth has a north and a south pole. That is a magnetic designation.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to go online and look, you can do it. Or if you have encyclopedias, those rows of books, go and look it up. But you can see the flow of that energy around the earth.
Mm-hmm.
They've known about this for years. This isn't some new age kind of thing. They've known about this for years.
Yeah.
Years and years.
Oh, yeah.
It's how the ancient mariners were able to designate which direction they were going.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of that energy is flowing through you.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because it reminded me in the military, in map training, there were actually 3 norths. There is true north, which is the North Pole. There is the magnetic north, which is over towards Iceland. It keeps moving a little bit. And then there's grid north, which is the north center of the map that you're looking at.
Right.
And it would always have the graph on there of where true north is and where, you have to compensate so many degrees for magnetic north, because when you're out there navigating, you're going to be using the magnetic compass.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, I don't want to get too much in detail there, but I mean, that's a real good point that you brought out. It's magnetic north and south pole. Yeah. And I had forgotten about that, to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, when I retired from the military, I filed everything away.
Well, and there's the natural, all of that's naturally going on around the earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of the electromagnetic from power lines and things like that's anywhere that we go. There's the appliances and the equipment that we use, like I mentioned earlier, cars, microwaves, things like that. That's in computers. That's doing all of this. Everybody that's using a Wi-Fi on your computer, I'm using a Wi-Fi. That's electromagnetic information. If you're using earbuds, okay, you're getting Bluetooth. That's electromagnetic, waves that are taking place.
Yeah.
And all of those waves are going through the cells of your body.
Correct.
Just think about that. And there are differences. We all know when they take certain rays, like X-rays, right? You shouldn't have too many of them because they can affect the cells in your body.
Yeah.
Joel, back me up on this. It ain't just X-rays.
No, that's why there's so many people that are fighting 5G because it's a more powerful pulse. I think of it as pulses.
Okay.
When you wear things, or like for myself, I even carry shungite in my pockets. So, and shungite is we believe it was a meteorite, and the place you could find it is in Russia. And the Russian astronauts were the first ones astronauts and their pilots, because they started to realize that the astronauts and the pilots and the stewardesses were getting cancers. And it was because they were closer to the radiation, because the radiation gets weaker as it gets to Earth. So up there, they were getting more pulse with the radiation. So the Russians figured out shungite breaks up those pulses. So you're just not getting like a microwave. Perfectly said. It's like a microwave. Yeah. So when you wear the shungite and you wear other things, like I've got a thing in my pocket from.
Well, that was how they developed this. What was it? The Solaris blanket, right? Was the same idea. Was to block some of that.
Huh. Okay.
What's that you have? It's
a personal card. It's from EMF Solutions, and I don't get paid for saying it, but it helps block the radiations. It keeps me grounded as I'm walking, and it breaks up those pulses for the body. And some people wear around necklaces. Some people have bracelets. That's kind of what the copper bracelet was. We think that it had something to do with grounding also.
Yeah.
So still wear them, still believe in them.
Yeah. Because I used to wear copper bracelets back in the 70s, and I wore them for a long time, and just for some reason, just either got tired of it or quit wearing it or whatever, you get out of things. But you mentioned there, what was that rock again that you mentioned you got in your pocket there?
Shungite.
How you spell that? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. Let me check that out for you.
Okay. But see, ladies and gentlemen, you can tell our show's not rehearsed because that's when all the good stuff comes out. And you got that card. It's called REMF. What? Would you get that?
EMF Solutions.
EMF Solutions. Okay.
I've actually met the owner before, and he's got a lot of proof, and they test their stuff, and I that's why I use them. Shungite, SHUNGITE.
SHUNGITE.
Some people TE.
Shungite song. Yeah. I gotta look that up,
Yeah, and some people do it for their water too. They've got some shungite water glasses. I haven't done that yet, but they're trying to fourth phase of water. I actually use a wand for my water because we believe it structures the water. And you've got some of those filters that do the same thing. And to my knowledge, they learned this in Chernobyl because one of the villages that was right next to a waterfall, they didn't get as much radiation or as sick as the people that were further down the way because the water was structured coming down the waterfall.
Yeah.
So these people had structured water. The people down the way didn't, and they were further away, and they got sick.
Yeah.
So that was where they started to realize just structured water really works. Pretty powerful.
It really is, because the more you dig into this thing, it just gets more and more interesting, because I went to EMFsolutions.com and .net, excuse me, EMFsolutions.net. And what really surprised me was right there, they had these beds with these draped tents over it, and they called it a Faraday. And I go like, wait a minute, I remember that, because some of you out there at TV land may have seen the helicopter drop off a high voltage worker who's going to work on the power lines, and they're not going to shut down these high voltage power lines that you see on these big, huge steel towers running across. And so they have a electrical wire. It looks like a welding rod that he's dressed in a particular Faraday suit, and it neutralizes the static and all. So when he gets onto the wires, he doesn't get electrocuted. And I don't know if you've ever seen that or not, but I mean, I'm going like, wow, I know there's not enough money in the world to pay me to do that job for 1 hour. But the Faraday, I had forgotten all about the Faraday cage. You guys, if you want to see that, you may want to, go to YouTube and put in Faraday cage or something like that. You'll see this helicopter, flying out there, and it's, it's above the, obviously above the ground. It's just hovering there while the guy's out there on the side, and he's got that stick. You see the sparks flying and all that, and it neutralizes. I don't know how the Faraday cage worked, but it neutralizes when he gets on those wires, and he's just on those wires. He's probably, 150 feet up in the air or higher. And I'm going like, whoa.
That's not 110 volts either.
No, you're talking hundreds of thousands of volts. I mean, and that's why a bird doesn't get electrocuted when it lands on a wire. It's not grounded to the earth.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to get off a little bit off subject there, but I saw that Faraday drape and I go like, wow, I remember that, from years ago. It's interesting.
Oh, they were showing the Faraday drape that goes over the bed.
Yeah. I'm going to have to read more into that so I can, find out, more about it, because it's just, the more you find out about the electromagnetic field, because even in your house, if you have a lamp plugged in and it's turned off, it still produces an electromagnetic force. It really does. And because that current is still there. And that, that's why when you pull the light on, it's there. It doesn't have to, come from a distance or anything.
Well,
and
in fact, just for no other reason than saving on your electric bill,
right?
You have what's called vampire appliances. And all of the little things that make your TV come on instantly, all of the little power strips, and that light on the little switch, when that light is on, it's using electricity. All of these are They're vampire appliances in our house. Well, guess what? Those vampire appliances, you can get close enough to them with a meter and you can read what it is putting off that you're experiencing. Am I right? Am I right there, Joel?
Yeah, definitely. That's what, I forget the name too. They have they now have professionals that come to your house and help you remediate this and help you learn about all this, and they bring in the meters themselves, and they help you put plugs throughout the house, and they've got a cage for the smart meter. Some put something inside the wall where the smart meter could be coming back through. So there's a lot of remediation that you can do. And I turn on the airplane mode on my laptop, my iPad, my iPhone, and then I unplug both my router and my modem at night. And my router has a little clip on it from EMF Solutions that helps neutralize that pulse.
Oh, wow.
I also have a plug that plugs into the wall, and it usually does a little circumference in an apartment or a small bedroom or an office and so forth. And so I noticed the difference because I'm sensitive.
Yeah. That's really amazing because there's so many things like that going on all around us that we're not aware to it. And most of the time we're kind of, we don't even realize what's going on. And I saw somewhere, and I really like this, it says, we recognize the sun is producing vitamin D.
Right.
And this person said, we should look at the earth as producing vitamin G for grounding. And I like that. And I wish I'd remember where I saw that out, but I mean, that's a good way of looking at it because we need the sunlight for vitamin D and we need to be grounded to Mother Earth. We really do. And it just, when I first shared this topic with Joel, he says, oh man, that's a great topic. And I said, well, you got to come on and share it with us because you're the subject. He's the beard of knowledge, I call him, because I tease him. I get that from Rick on the Pawn Stars when he invites the guy over from Clark County Museum. And he calls him the beard of knowledge because in the information that we cover here on Tuesdays, Finding Health Naturally, Joel has been there. He's got skin in the game. He's worked with, you've worked with Dr. Clearfield for about 8 years. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And a DO, would you just briefly just share what a DO is? Doctor of osteopathic.
He's a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and DOs go to school for 10 years, not 6, like an allopathic medical doctor does. And the difference is the DOs get taught in supplements, and they get taught in food and the delivery of nutrition and a couple of alternative methods. And they also do manipulation. Some do, some don't. Dr. Clearfield chose acupuncture rather than the chiropractic side. So he became an acupuncturist and a DO.
Yeah. I'm a big time fan of acupuncture, Emerson. Many years ago, I suffered from a sciatic nerve. I had, just flared up my back. And if you folks have never had one, I hope you never do. But for those of you who's had it, you know what I'm talking about. That thing, it's you cannot stand, sit, or lie comfortably.
Yeah, and, Jim, I experienced some sciatica for years when I would travel and speak because I've spoken in well over 1,000 events over the years on marketing. Well, there goes Jim. Every show, right?
The A team is calling him. That's how valuable Emerson is. The A team.
But the sciatic nerve runs down the back of the leg, and there's 2 corresponding nerves on the front end of the leg. And what began happening for me is I started getting neuropathy in those. And I was an acupuncturist who also had studied Western medicine. So he took the CT scans and he took the x-rays and the things like that and combined them with his knowledge of how all of that works, and spent about 2 hours with me. Gosh, Jim, that was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and that session made all the difference in the world.
Oh yeah.
There's so many things that we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We know. There used to be a circle I did. I might have done it in the class that you took with me, Jim. But the circle was, here's all. It was a circle with a little teeny sliver at the top. Here's all the things that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And then then I made another little sliver and said, here's all the things that we know we don't know. Mm-hmm. And the rest of that circle, that's all the things that we don't even know we don't know.
We don't even have a clue exist. I like that. I remember that, yes. And like the acupuncture I went to, one treatment, and he says, now lift your leg. I can lift my leg with no pain. I'm going like, my goodness gracious. So if you folks out there are living with pain, and he talks about acupuncture, Joel did, you might want to check it out for yourself, especially if you have, nerve pain and things like that. It may be a great alternative for you, a great answer for you. And, Joel, this whole thing about grounding, it just really gets home to me because walking barefoot on the ground, of course, you want to be careful about, gravel or something like that, or rocky areas, or, but the article I read also talked about how great it felt to walk out with dew in the morning on the grass. And I know you're a big fan of, in the morning, the first hour of sunlight.
Correct.
And I'd like for you to share a little bit about that, sir, if you would.
The first hour of sunlight, speaking of energy, increases your ATP, increases the energy production in the body, and it also produces melatonin for nighttime. So that's the reason we should get into the sun.
That sets your body clock.
Correct. Mm-hmm. And I believe it also helps with delivery of vitamin D. And that's why Dr. Clearfield recommends vitamin D at night, not in the morning. Because it's kind of like it's when we should be utilizing the D, per se. And that's why many people believe that the advent of air conditioning, after air conditioning was created, all of a sudden a lot of people's thyroid starting to get bad. That was almost when thyroid exploded on the scene. And now they believe that a big part of that was we weren't getting the vitamin D no more. We weren't getting the sun. So
you started out.
I forgot to mention this.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the Harmony pendant, spelled HARMONI. And this also breaks up the EMFs. And they've got 4 holes in it that are each different size. And you've got to hold it a foot in front of you for 2 minutes once a week. And they've even done proof and tests that this also works. So it's right there by your heart. And some people, I would like to get a shungite necklace to be next to my heart, because you can feel it. Like when you go into doctor's offices, or if you go into like a computer store or a phone store, you notice the difference. In fact, I get visual flashes in my eyes. It's kind of hard to explain. It's really wild. You can really feel it. So if I didn't have none of this on, it'd be worse. And I think I'd probably start to get sick again. I hate to say that.
Well, you mentioned you had a TBI. I had I think we talked about this the last time. I also had a TBI about 2 years ago. That's a traumatic brain injury, folks. Who are not familiar with it. I don't want to be guilty of using lingo and things that everybody doesn't get. But traumatic brain injury really changes things, and your body is very much wired to be able to remake those connections, and a lot of what we're talking about can interfere with that process. Am I right there, Joel?
Yes, exactly. And I just partnered with Jennifer Baker, and we bought a NeuroCheck, and I already had 2 Brain Tap machines. And Brain Tap is a company that has a lot of science now behind them and a lot of proof. And corporations, sports teams, universities are now starting to even put in Brain Tap rooms. And what Brain Tap does, what I'm learning, is it uses binaural beats in connection to lights, because the lights can penetrate your brain easier, and you can do before and after test on the NeuroCheck. And the NeuroCheck is a heart rate variability monitor. And so there's like 5 main areas that I'm learning about. I'm still new to this, and about 11 total. And they even got a couple of energy sections for like energy healers or acupuncturists that shows the meridians. And it's really, really, I think, going to be powerful. And I'm looking forward to rewiring my brain. It's exercise for the brain.
Joel, I've got on the marquee there your name, all AKA the Beard of Knowledge, but your email address is joelat67@gmail.com, and your phone number there, that's his cell phone number, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to get in touch with Joel about anything he's discussed, on this show or previous show, please get in touch with him. And I'm just going to ask you one quick thing, Joel. When you talking about the first hour of sunlight in the morning, you said it helped with the ADT. What was, did I say that right? ADT?
ATP,
was that
ATP?
ATP. What is that?
It's a hard word to pronounce.
Okay. But anyway, it's just share with us what ATP means, and if it's a hard word to pronounce.
Adenosine triphosphate. That's right. Adenosine is a substance present in all living cells that provides energy for many metabolic processes and is involved in making RNA. So this is at the root of what we're talking about. We're trying to protect that ATP.
And RNA, and RNA is a very important part of it. It's the thing that actually carries the recipes, if you will, to the cells from the DNA.
Exactly.
To make sure that every cell in your body is
connected
and replicated exactly the way that it should, to deal with the proteins and deal with the different aspects of the brain chemistry and everything else in your body.
Yeah, that's so true, because when you think about our bodies and how amazing they are to work in harmony if we don't interfere with it, because the things we're talking about now is all man-made. And man-made things have a tendency, just like in our food that's been processed by man, it has negative consequences from the alpha to the omega. So you might want to, start doing your own research on grounding and earthing. And I really like what, you said there at the very beginning when you came on, that there's a difference between grounding and earthing. And grounding can be done inside your home. Earthing is just simply when you go outside and work in the garden, take off your gloves and get your hands dirty, especially with some good soil. I mean, it's just amazing. And I think that's one of the reasons why people who work with soil and work with plants outside, gardeners and things like that, they really enjoy and love what they're doing, because it's probably, some of it has to do with the feeling that they get out there working with the soul. Might be one of those deals where it's a blessing in disguise and they don't know it,
I didn't look this up. I haven't bought a pair myself, but I just recently learned that they also have earthing shoes now. And I believe they're made with either leather or wool. So people are starting to buy earthing shoes, and you can wear those throughout your day.
Yeah, those are different from the earth shoes back in the 70s that had the negative heel. Because I never did get into those, but it's anything that is man-made for a sole on a shoe is not good for you. It will insulate you and separate you from Mother Earth because it's not a conductor. It really isn't. And leather is a conductor.
Earthing shoes. Yep. Earthing Harmony 783 earthing shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There's a lot of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Harmony is the first one that comes up though, but they're, yeah.
Earthing shoes, huh? I'll be doggone. I'll have to look them up after the show.
Regular price too, not too. Oh, there's bamboo. Yeah.
Wow. Bamboo shoes, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, Emerson, I tell you, the thing that I love most about doing about this show is that, the guests we have on, the topics we cover, and the information that we learn at the same time the audience does.
Oh, man.
Yeah. You think all the things, go ahead.
Instead of plugging into a wall, earthing shoes work by means of a little copper button implanted in the sole of the shoe.
Oh, copper is one of the greatest conductors there. That's why you have copper wiring in your home.
Right.
As opposed to aluminum. I remember me and Ellen first got married, we bought a single wide mobile home, had aluminum wiring in it. And man, we had all kind of electrical problems in there trying to tighten down the screws to get a good connection. And, but copper, oh man, that's really brilliant. That's really brilliant. It really is. 'Cause that's a direct connection there.
Jim, it's making me think of this isn't copper. Okay. It was steel, which also conducts. But you remember when we did the thing in Tomball, Texas with Marty?
Oh yeah.
Right. The concert.
Yep.
With Marty Haggard.
Uh-huh.
And I brought my the ostrich boots that I'd had since I don't remember, early 1980s.
Yeah.
But an old man made those for me in Mexico, and he hammered out a six-penny nail, big nail. He hammered it out and made the shank of the shoe with that nail.
Wow.
And it was under a leather sole. And when I wear those shoes, you just connected some dots for me there, Joel. When I wear those shoes, I am able to, I feel the difference.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus just wearing a pair of regular shoes that I might wear, even leather shoes. I feel a difference there.
I'm glad you said that, because I remember being there in Tomball at the Main Street crossing with our buddy Marty Haggard, and Emerson had on those boots, and when he walked across the floor, and his hat, cowboy hat, when he walked across the floor, he just kind of glided, ladies and gentlemen. He had like he was ready to do the the 2-step, the 4-step, the 6-step, and I don't know how many other steps. No, but really, I remember, you said something about how comfortable those boots were and how they made you feel. I thought it was just talking about the comfort of the boot, but
I did too.
Yeah, and little did we know, a little over about a year later, we find out that he is well grounded. That's amazing. It really is.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I tell you, it's I know sometimes when the weather's nice, I like to go outside and sit in the sunshine, and I'll take my shoes off and I'll put my feet on the ground, and I just like to sit there and relax, and it feels good. And now I know why it feels good. My goodness.
Right.
Exactly. Especially being around all this electronic equipment and doing 5 shows a week and all that stuff. I need to get wired. That's what it is.
I wonder if someone's done tests to record the difference between walking on cement, asphalt, earth itself, and sand, or rocks. I wonder if there's a difference. There's got to be, because a lot of people love going to the beach, and I think that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, walking in the sand is best, because I remember in the military we had a signal sight up, and it's one of those deals where you're driving a stake into the ground and the stake would bounce back up, and we had to put sand and water in from the canteen in there to get a good ground, because if we didn't get a good ground, it was putting feedback loop into the equipment, and we were transmitting, and it was just we had all kind of communication problems. And one of the other guys was smart enough to figure that out. He says, we got a problem with our ground, evidently. I says, really? I said, well, we got a stake in the ground. He said, no, it's not grounded. And he went out there and put some sand in there and put a canteen of water in there. Problem solved. So I think you're on to something there. That'd be interesting to find out more about.
Yeah. Well, I know there's an earthing, the earthing movie on Facebook, and I forget the gentleman's name. He's the one that discovered this and started Earthing Creator.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can figure it out. Clint Ober is the innovator behind the grounding movement and the author of Earthing. Yeah.
Hey, can you imagine just having a little sandbox out there, kind of a deal, and wet it down with sand and stand out there on it with your bare feet? Because man, that would give you an excellent ground. It really would.
www.earthing.com.
Earthing.com.
Yep.
Well, take a look at that.
That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
And he's got a movie. So I think it's about a 1 hour, 20-minute movie. Real good movie.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, we've got about 4 minutes left before we need to close the show. And I want to give Emerson and Joel just a chance to share any final thoughts before we have to depart from the show today, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, sir. Who wants to be first?
I'll let Joel go. He's the guest today.
Amen.
I've been the I've been throwing in the stuff from my experience, but he's got a world more than I do.
The reason I started doing this type of research is because I come from a background of trauma and a lot of sickness, possible damage from vaccines and pills in the military, and experimentation that has been done on us. And so if you're out there and you're what we call doctor shopping, or you're going back and forth to the hospital and they just can't figure things out and you haven't looked into this, I would look into it. I'd look into EMF and EMR. That's radiation. That's the microwaves and the 5G microwaves. Look into the remediation and, wear a couple pennants. Go get some of these plugs and see what happens. And I bet you'll be amazed. Some people even move away from the city because they're so sensitive. So they go move out into the rural areas. Literally, they move away. Some have left the country because we have so much of it here. So it's just something to look into if you just can't figure out what's wrong with you. I highly recommend it.
Jim, I know we really don't have a real active site at this point, but this show might be being watched weeks or months or years after this because of all the millions of people who view this show. And I encourage you to we can post some of these things on our site.
Yes.
And we can post some of these things for you so that you're able to access some of the things that Joel's been talking about. There goes
A-Team is calling again. I get a kick out of that. That's a VIP there.
I keep thinking that I've muted it, but I obviously was mistaken.
Mistaken, huh? Oh, my goodness.
It's telling me I need another quarter in the machine, Jim.
There you go. There you go. That's important. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, doing this show today is the reason why we love to do this show, because we provide information out there that you learn at the same time we do, which is a good thing. I mean, a lot of the things we're already prepared to talk about, but it's the energy that comes through from a mastermind, like a little mini mastermind we're having here, because there's always someone out there in TV land that needs to hear it. And during this show, I can guarantee you there were a lot of things that I needed to hear. And it's just amazing because, like Emerson's boots getting well grounded there, and how he always said how comfortable those boots are. And now we know, of course, it's, in the manufacture and the make of the boot. But now we also know, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story.
And, Jim, one of the great things about this is, unlike so many things, so many trendy, start this diet, do this kind of exercise, go through this, this amazing process with the warm lasers or the lights. And I'm not saying any of those things are wrong.
Right.
But unlike so many things out there, this is something that you can try for yourself.
Yes.
And there's no side effect that you need to worry about. It's something that is so natural. Discover if you try and see if you feel the difference, let your body tell you.
There you go. I was just going to
tell you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because I think based on what I've read and what I've seen and what I've learned today, I really think that your body will tell you, hey, I like this. And it's you'll get some good positive feedback. So then you're on the right track.
And as Napoleon Hill and Clement Stone said, if you have nothing to lose and everything to gain by trying, by all means try.
Amen. That's a great, great, great comment and great, great quote by W. Clement Stone, because it's so true. And ladies and gentlemen, our time is gone. We want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Be sure and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be sure and share our show with others. And most importantly, do yourself a favor, treat yourself, do some research on grounding, do some research on this earthing, and make the right informed decision for you. Don't be afraid to try something new. It just may be the answer that you're looking for. On behalf of Emerson and Joel, I'm Jim Grant, Mr. Emerson Brantley, and Mr. Joel Peterson. We want to thank you for tuning in today. Hope you have a blessed day. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.